No one inside the MotoGP paddock expected the announcement to land this hard. Not because Yamaha was launching a new era. Not because the team was unveiling a radical new V4 machine. But because of who was standing at the center of it all. For years, Yamaha had been Fabio Quartararo's kingdom. Now suddenly, another world champion had been invited inside. And from that moment on, everything felt different. Yamaha's decision to launch its 2026 MotoGP project in Jakarta wasn't just about marketing. To insiders, it felt like a statement of urgency. For decades, Yamaha had stayed loyal to its inline-4 philosophy: elegant, smooth, predictable. But the modern MotoGP battlefield had changed, and Yamaha knew it. The answer was bold, risky, almost desperate. A brand new V4 engine. And with it, a brand new mindset. But the real shock didn't come from the bike. It came from the rider Yamaha chose to lead this future alongside Fabio Quartararo, Toprak Razgatlıoğlu. A Superbike superstar. Aggressive, fearless, unapologetically confident. Inside the paddock, whispers spread immediately. Was Yamaha building for the future? Or preparing for life after Fabio? And that question didn't stay quiet for long. For Fabio Quartararo, Yamaha had been more than a team. It was home. It was identity. It was legacy. He had carried the factory through seasons of frustration, technical stagnation, and rising criticism. While others jumped ship, Fabio stayed. He believed. But belief comes with a price. Because when Yamaha signed Toprak, it wasn't just adding talent. It was introducing comparison. Suddenly, every lap mattered more. Every comment carried weight. Every test became a silent evaluation. On social media, fans began debating the unthinkable. Could Yamaha be planning a future where Fabio was no longer untouchable? Fabio never said it out loud. But inside the garage, the pressure was unmistakable. And then came Valencia. The first MotoGP test is never about lap times. At least that's what teams like to say. But when Toprak rolled out on the Yamaha V4 in Valencia, attention followed him like a shadow. Observers noticed something immediately. He wasn't pushing. Not really. Yet the speed was there. Smooth corner entry. Late brakings. An uncanny ability to adapt. According to insiders, Toprak was operating at barely 60% of his potential. And that was the part that rattled people. Fabio watched closely, listened carefully, measured everything. When he finally spoke, his words were honest but revealing. Admiration, respect, and a hint of surprise. Because Fabio understood something others didn't yet. If Toprak could do this without confidence in the bike, what would happen once he unlocked the rest? But Toprak himself wasn't celebrating. And that made Yamaha even more uneasy. Inside Yamaha's factory team, the atmosphere changed almost overnight. Fabio was the reference, the data benchmark, the rider engineers trusted. Toprak was the wildcard, raw instinct, unpredictable brilliance. Their riding styles couldn't have been more different. Fabio demanded balance and front-end feel. Toprak thrived on aggression and late-braking chaos. Engineers were suddenly forced to choose priorities. Aero concepts, electronics mapping, development direction, and hovering above it all was a simple truth. There would only be one number ones. Toprak's 2-year contract added another layer of tension. 1 year to learn. 1 year to attack. Inside the garage, some quietly wondered if that timeline was optimistic. Others feared it might be too conservative. Because outside Yamaha, something far more dangerous was awakening. While Yamaha battled its own internal storm, the rest of the paddock kept an eye on one name. Marc Marquez. 3 months removed from a severe high-speed incident at Mandalika, Marquez had disappeared from the spotlight. No noise. No dramas. Just recovery. Mountain biking. Physical rebuilding. Quiet determination. He had missed crucial testing. Lost valuable development time. But veterans knew better than to relax. Because Marquez had never been defined by setbacks. And when his return date approached, tension across the paddock quietly spiked. Especially in Yamaha's garage. When Jiggy Dalagna spoke about Marquez, it wasn't dramatic. It was colder than that. A champion who stops winning gets used to losing, he said. But Marc Marquez wasn't that kind of champion. For Ducati engineers, 2024 had already answered the question. The instinct was still there. The hunger untouched. Suddenly Yamaha's internal duel felt small. Because now the fight wasn't just Fabio versus Toprak. It was Yamaha versus time. Toprak remained realistic in public. A podium would be a dream. Learning was the priority. The future could wait. But inside, ambition burned. He spoke openly about dueling Marquez one day. About activating full attack mode when the moment came. Fabio, meanwhile, carried a different weight. Expectation. Responsibility. The unspoken need to prove he was still Yamaha's pillar. Online, fanbases collided. Arguments escalated. Narratives hardened. And engineers felt it too. Every upgrade. Every choice. Every delay. Because 2026 wasn't just another season. It was the last stand of the 1000cc era. As pre-season testing approaches, Yamaha stands at the edge of a gamble years in the making. A new engines. 2 world champions. A fractured sense of certainty. Fabio wants to defend his territory. Toprak wants to rewrite the hierarchy. Marquez wants to remind the world who he is. And when the lights finally go out in 2026, reputations won't matter. Only speed will. Because in MotoGP, loyalty fades. Patience disappears. And even champions can be replaced. And this time, everyone is watching Yamaha.